Welcome into Celtics Late Night. Ben Vallis here along with Jake Eisenberg. And Jake, the Celtics, they fall to 7-2. Disappointing loss to the Warriors, but rallied from down 14 to lead by 7 late in the game, and unfortunately just bested by / out executed by the Golden State Warriors. How are you, Jake?
I'm good. Welcome to Celtics Therapy. Everybody take a deep breath.
Absolutely.
I understand that this one hurts a little bit or a lot bit depending on your emotional stability, and your PTSD might be flaring up from the 2022 finals. This is why, thank the Lords, we have the title, man, because they're really hard to get. Like, you just never know what's going to happen, whether it's Jaylen Brown being out, the Warriors like capture magic in a bottle again. But I've got a new routine with game days. We got the playback stream, instant reactions, and then I'm just going directly into the ocean. It's freezing cold where I live, in the water, around 11 degrees, which if you're Fahrenheit, that's around high 40s degrees in the water, which is very, very cold.
That's wild,
for actually swimming in. But after a loss, it's especially good. I'm in there, I'm breathing, I'm like calibrating my brain, thinking about the Celtics as a way to keep my mind off of my body freezing cold. And I stand by what I said during the game when I tweeted. I was like, this is a good loss. This is a good loss. About halfway through the third quarter, I was like, regardless of the result, this is a good game. This is a lot to learn from. This is a good learning experience. We're trying to win an NBA title. You don't get tests like this a lot in the regular season. Often there will be, a player will be out on the other side. They were coming off a back-to-back. Like these West Coast teams that come on their trips, there's often like in the midst of like, just a shit show of a schedule. The Warriors had just played the Wizards. They were completely healthy. They were missing Milton, I guess, but for the most part, the important guys, they were healthy, deep, fired up for this one. Under Steve Kerr, they've had an elite defense basically since the existence of Draymond Green. So whether or not you chalk that up to Draymond or Steve Kerr, I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of these defenses that exist in the Eastern Conference. So I think for Jayson Tatum in particular, for Derrick White, I thought this was a very valuable game. Obviously, you'd prefer to learn these lessons and still win, but I think you can walk away pissed off. You can walk away, feeling like you let one get away and use it as fuel. I'm summoning my inner Joe Mazzulla here, and we're trying to win a title. Being 7-2 right now is not going to be the difference between winning and losing the title. It's like, can you get better? Can you stack growth? Kaizen mindset on the way to a championship, Ben.
Man, I wish I'd jumped in the ocean as well.
Let's go.
I had a sandwich and took a nap. That was my routine after the game. Different vibes over here. But look, lessons were learnt on the fly, I think and I referred to it in instant reactions as an invigorating loss where clearly the Warriors defense, after that Derrick White flurry where it was Derrick White 12 points, Warriors 2 points in the first few minutes of the game, Warriors took a timeout. Defense dialed it up to 11, and they were handsy in the paint. They were suffocating everywhere as soon as we crossed the halfway line, and that was really difficult for our guys to overcome, even just from a matching intensity standpoint. And Steph Curry, 3 steals right under the basket. They were so just swiping at everything, lucky at times to not get called for fouls, but turning us over, getting out in transition, scoring, and really putting us out of our flow offensively. And Jayson Tatum, 4 turnovers in the first half. It took us until the third quarter to solve a lot of those problems, and a lot of them were self-induced. But we settled things down. We became more decisive. I say we, the royal we, the Boston Celtics.
Oh, it's a we.
We started to execute in the face of some of these Warrior demons that have plagued us over the years. And I thought just that in a vacuum, with no Jaylen Brown, no Kristaps Porzingis, which are the things that sort of put you over the top. Jayson Tatum and Derrick White are talented enough to lead you to a close game against a really a talented team in the Golden State Warriors, but it's the Jaylen Browns and the Kristaps that put you over in that sort of cheat code level where you can win these games with ease. And despite the issues that troubled us in the first half, and despite this lack of personnel, we're able to come back, solve a lot of those problems on the fly, really make a game of it, up to the point where we're up 7 in the fourth quarter. We get a very unfortunate failed challenge, if you want to call it that, an unsuccessful challenge where clearly Looney's feet were spread way past beyond the width of his shoulders. Derrick White gets caught up in that screen, that illegal screen, I want to call it, understandably, because he was basically just like spread out like crazy. And the challenge doesn't go our way. Turns out to be a huge turnaround for the Warriors, and we're never really able to recover, especially that happened amidst a flurry of Steph Curry scoring as well. So difficult to bounce back from that point. And, I don't want to blame the refs too much. There's a lot more we could have done execution-wise. Steph Curry cut his back door several times. I won't even mention the Jayson Tatum blown assignment on Buddy Hield to end the game. There were things that we could have done better to come out on top, but just to even be in it, I think, to that level, given everything we've already said, I think there's an invigorating minor victory within the loss.
Yeah, moral victories. I know a lot of people don't want to hear about moral victories when you're talking about professional sports, but shout out the chat, shout out everybody that's here watching. Appreciate you guys. If you could hit the like button, use that little finger over there, that would be awesome. But yeah, appreciate you guys being here. Mary's on it, as per usual. I'm okay with this one, but fuck the Warriors. I get it. But shout out Rhythm in the chat. Warriors fan here living in Boston. Good game and good luck for the rest of the season. Very much appreciate that. I don't have as much animosity towards the Warriors as I did without the title, but you definitely have those vibes. Losing on your home court up in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go, and you kind of let one get away a la Game 4 of the 2022 finals. It is hard to not draw those comparisons. We need to Men in Black memory hole everybody from like just that Jayson Tatum off ball where he loses Buddy Hield. That hurts. That hurts, man. And I literally cannot think of another time that has happened in a big moment. I'm sure it's happened like in spots. He's played an absurd amount of basketball in the past 7 years. So I'm sure he's lost some guys off ball, but like the lack of focus in that moment is on the defensive end is not something that Jayson Tatum does. So I can like forgive him for that, Like, he will bounce back. He's one of the best off-ball defenders in the NBA. But for him to do that in that moment, I think it almost hurts more because it's Tatum and he never does that. Like, he's like, like, he's far more likely to get a steal in that moment than he is to, like, lose someone off ball, especially someone like Buddy Hield. And totally. Buddy Hield has just been, like, on a ridiculous tear to start the season. And you just knew that he was going to make that shot. It's like almost like Buddy Hield has absorbed the aura of the Golden State Warriors, the Splash Brothers aura. Like, he's not a good player. Like, there's a reason Buddy Hield, despite being one of the best shooters in the history of the game, continues to bounce around the NBA when shooting is like the premium skill in the modern era, and he manages to bounce around. There's a reason for that. But so far, he has been like a perfect fit, and if he continues to have a quick trigger and shoot 50% from three, then the fit is going to be totally fine. There's a lot of places to go here. Go ahead. I can see you've got something on the tip of your tongue.
I don't know what they're putting in the water there in San Francisco, but Buddy Hield is drinking gallons of it by the day, clearly, and it's working. But yeah, Tatum losing him late. Yeah, I would love to have that scrub from the internet. That's going to go into the top three things I would love to have scrubbed from the internet. And the other two live journal things from age 16 to 18.
I was going to say,
days of the internet, which I'll leave it there. You can do your research. But I think he was so hung up and living with regret on his shot selection, the prior play,
I think that's possible.
Offensively down the other end of the court, where unfortunately he just didn't. I think a couple of plays before he managed to sort of body up Buddy Hield down low and get himself to a position where he could fade away and score an easy two, and he just wasn't able to find the same look. And I think he just had so much regret in that moment that it took him out of his focus, because like he would know better than anyone. Like you said, like you need to be so focused defensively on the Warriors because they're running so much misdirection off ball that if you even just like look down for a second, there's going to be like three wide open opportunities for them at the same time. And that's unfortunately exactly what happened at a critical moment. But Ultimately, a good Tatum game. I think this is good for the Jayson Tatum propagandists out there, and really largely from what we've already discussed, the turnaround from the first two quarters to the second half there, where he did not turn the ball over again. He found his shot and he started to assert himself. I think we were talking about it during the playback, Jake, but it became clear that to some degree our best player was going to need to assert himself beyond just drawing doubles and making plays out of that. He was going to need to assert himself and put himself in more scoring positions. And he started to find mismatches and he started to get himself open and he started to do some more things off ball to get open catch and shoot threes. And we know from years of watching Jayson Tatum that he's highly efficient off the catch and shoot jump shots. So that was really good to see him take a different approach in the second half and end up with like a pretty efficient game. 50% from three, 7 of 9 from the free throw line. And yeah, no turnovers in the second half, 32 points overall. So ultimately, good Tatum game.
Ultimately, a great Tatum game. You end up with 32 points. The weird part about the game is he didn't accumulate a ton of other stats. Like for him to only have 4 rebounds is weird. He had 0 rebounds in the second half, 2 assists, a steal and a block. But yeah, 0 turnovers. And he was fantastic in that third quarter. Let me just pull it up here. 17 points in the third quarter, 5 for 7, 4 for 6 from 3. Like fantastic. And I think if you go back to 2022, that first half, he doesn't rebound like this in the second half. Like there's not a world where he kind of like comes back in the second half and really solves the defense and has because what was he in the first half? It was 2 for 7, 4 turnovers. Like that ends that's a game that ends up like 7 for 22 and 7 turnovers or 6 turnovers. For him to come back and have that in the second half that's the growth of the past couple of years. And when we look forward to the playoffs and to trying to defend the title, like we're going to need and going to the next version of Jayson Tatum, and he has been awesome this season to start. And he was flustered in that first half. They had not seen that level of defensive intensity. They just weren't. I don't know. It was a classic case of like the Warriors punched first, and honestly, they kind of did well to take the hit defensively. The Celtics were fantastic in that first half as well.
Yeah,
it was 44-40 with like 2 or 3 minutes to go. And the Warriors ended up 11 at the end of the first half. And that was another inflection point where it was like, I'm confident they can regroup at halftime and come back like ready to go. But they just like let go of the rope in the last like 2 minutes. And that just like makes the hole that much more difficult to climb out of, especially in a game like this when we're not talking like, yes, there was a lot of threes that went up today, but this was like a real basketball game where points were hard to come by, and having an extra 7 points, like being an extra 7 points in the hole, you just felt that in the third quarter. Like you'd go on a 4-0 run and then like they'd get a loose ball and they'd score and be like, oh, now we're down 9 again. And like if you had those 7 points from the end of the second quarter, which Joe Mazzulla always talks about, those moments like finishing the quarters strong, like those things do add up. And just those little things didn't go your way. Like if you want to like continue to huff some hopium, which I've got plenty of it for you guys tonight.
I got a wet rag of hopium right here, ready to stuff off it.
Exactly. Like a couple of things. One, like in order to beat the Celtics, a couple of things need to happen. Like one thing really needs to happen. The other team needs to shoot over 40% from 3, which is like above any team's normal percentage. The Warriors shot 41% from 3 tonight, and that doesn't, and like going back to the Pacers game as well, they shot 40% from 3. So like 2 losses Celtics have suffered this year. The other team has shot 40% from 3, which like that's the reason why they're 7-2. Is the reason why they won 64 games, because that's very hard to do against this Celtics team. And part of how the Warriors got to over 40% from 3, Kyle Anderson, 3 3-pointers in the first quarter alone. I'm pretty sure it was.
It's like 3 straight.
Second quarter, yeah. It was in the second quarter. Yeah, 3 straight. Yeah, in the second quarter, 3 for 3 from 3. The last time Kyle Anderson hit 3 threes in a basketball game, or hit more than 1 3 in a basketball game, actually, March 27, 2023. So essentially 18 months ago was the last time Kyle Anderson hit more than 1 3-pointer in an NBA game. So that obviously hurt. And like, I mean, those things alone, we didn't even talk about like the Jonathan Kuminga circus shot. Like, they didn't even check it. I thought it might have been late. That went in. And obviously very late. Draymond Green, they play awesome defense. They get the shot they want. It's Draymond Green airballs the three. And the like, anytime it's an airball, like you just don't expect that. You're not in position for an airball. Tatum blocks Curry under the rim. It bounces right to Looney. Like, a lot of those things did not go the Celtics' way today. Obviously, some shit went the other way as well that we're conveniently ignoring, and that's how it works. But yeah, it felt like that stuff didn't go the Celtics' way tonight.
Yeah, the execution down the stretch was poor for the Celtics, but there's no more unpredictable rebound bounce than one that doesn't bounce at all, which was the case with Draymond Green airball. At least his shooting, 3-point shooting, regressed to the mean in this game, 0 of 4 from beyond the arc. But yeah, like some efficiency from unexpected places. Jonathan Kuminga, 2 of 3 from 3. I think he was averaging in the 20s, like the high 20s in his 3-point percentage so far this season. And yeah, you mentioned the Kyle Anderson like backbreaking free straight. Like, that is fucking crazy. His shot looks like a invention of basketball. Here's how we might shoot while we invent this game of basketballs in like the 1800s style form. It's disgusting to look at, and even more disgusting to see them go down against your boys, the Boston Celtics. So
it's so brutal, dude. They made 14 threes, and Steph Curry and Buddy Hield combined for 8 of them, and then the rest of them come from, like 5 of them come from Kuminga and Anderson. Like it's just, that just hurts so much because Kuminga stinks. He's so bad. And for him to hit like the bailout 3, and he also took like that above the break pull up 3 where he was pushing for a 2-for-1 when it was way too late. I was like, it was such a garbage shot at the end of the third quarter that went in. Oh, so frustrating.
So many frustrating occurrences, and like if 2 of the 10 things that happened that were mind-bendingly frustrating didn't happen, then we probably win this game. So I guess like going back to the Celtic therapy side of things, like it's gonna be okay. We're fine.
And this comment here from John: the Warriors barely beat us without 2 of our best players. Like,
exactly.
I mean, the Jaylen in that first half too, where they were just really struggling to generate anything, like, and they're can they blitz? If they, let's say they continue to blitz Tatum like that, you're swinging the ball to Jaylen when you just really needed that explosiveness. You really needed that explosiveness to get downhill and like really enforce your will and like just crack stuff open. You just badly needed that in the first quarter, in the first half, and you just didn't have it. Like, and that's part of the story. Coming into it, this was a no-lose scenario, Ben. And then they went up 7 in the fourth quarter, and it became very much a lose scenario. And but like this is not fucking breaking news. Jaylen Brown, very helpful, and this is one for the Jaylen is good for the Boston Celtics team, which I know we're a part of. But there is definitely people out there that have been noting that the Celtics are 14 or 15-0 without Jaylen Brown in the last 15 games that he missed coming into tonight. And
it's tough after the multiple postseason MVP awards for that crew.
Yes,
but
I'd say
whatever,
so.
I respect the hustle. But even just for another person to be defended by Andrew Wiggins, I thought in this particular matchup to have another big athletic 6'7", 6'8"-ish wing out there is just important as far as drawing defensive attention away from Jayson Tatum. I'm not saying anything new there, but Andrew Wiggins was like pretty solid again defensively, I thought, on JT in that particular matchup. But I'll need to go back and look at that film. And I will. And more film I want to go back and look at is Neemias Queta, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so curious to rewatch his defensive possessions out beyond the arc, matching up against Steph Curry, where as exciting as it was throughout the game, there wasn't ever a possession where I wasn't like totally panicking, just being like, this can't be, this can't happen. We cannot have Queta or any big switched on to Steph Curry. I think he held up like 90% of the time, maybe even 100% of the time. He was very effective switching on to Curry.
I can't believe how well Queta played tonight.
It is.
I honestly cannot. This was stunning. Team high plus 13. The only person other than Sam Hauser and Jordan Walsh, the 3 positive members tonight. But of the people that played at least 25 minutes tonight, Queta was the only one that was anywhere near positive, let alone a plus 13 in his 28 minutes. Like, the defense was fucking legit, man. I thought he did a really good job picking up Steph and Hield. Like, when they're running around and whether it was Pritchard or Derrick White, whoever chasing, and they were a step behind, Queta just like took the challenge and did an incredible job because like as long as you're forcing Curry, what he really did well was he stayed down and he forced Curry into the lane. And against the Warriors, like force Steph Curry into the lane, you can help off of Draymond, you can help off of Kuminga, you can help off of Trace Jackson Davis, you can help off of Kyle Anderson, and that worked a bunch of times. And that's why the offense, like the Warriors ended up scoring 51 points, but that was like that last flurry that we just talked about. We held the Warriors to how many points in that first quarter? 24 points in that first quarter, and without that last fight, like the defense was excellent, and Queta was a massive part of it. Like going back to like bad losses versus good losses, moral victories. This is a big deal going forward. Like if you're able to unlock Queta in a way that I did not think was possible, this is a big deal.
It's a huge emergence and storyline coming out of the early part of the Celtics season. And yeah, while he was excellent at staying on his feet and forcing Curry to drive, anytime Curry pulled up, I felt like Queta had a really healthy, strong contest on those looks as well. And yeah, I need to go back and watch those possessions. I'm insanely curious. But 5 offensive rebounds for Queta as well, just continuing his insane activity on both ends of the floor. And part of the comeback for the Celtics in the second half was just the generation of extra possessions in between Nemi and Drew Holiday as well, who was only 3 for 11 shooting in this game, 0 of 6 from 3, not great. Again, that's another weird anomaly where if it just goes, its normal average way when we're probably walking away with a win. But Drew was a lot more active with his effort in the second half and generating some of those extra possessions. But yeah, Queta, man, just so active and like, I try and think, like, where do we go with this? Like, what does that mean for Luke Kornet? And there was a question about the Kornet injury. It sounds like it's not particularly serious, and it might have just been a means of, like, not putting him back in the game because he was not effective in this one. But, like, Neemias Queta has to have, if not already, be quite close to overtaking Kornet in the depth chart.
I think you have to play. I mean, even like 3 games ago, I was like, they should play him ahead of Kornet just to find out and try and see what we've got. Because we know what Luke Kornet gives us. Very solid regular season big man. I'm a believer in Luke Kornet. There was a play earlier in the game, like Nemi caught it on the short roll, and I think, I'm not sure if he turned it over. I think he did turn it over, where he got it and there was a wide open shooter on the wing, and it just took him like 1 second too long to figure out where the shooter was because he had to turn around and survey, whereas like Luke knows where everybody is before he catches the ball and is able to read the defense and make that pass like instantaneously. Like, again, Queta has not played a ton of basketball, so he will get better at this, but there's no guarantee he gets to like that level of quick decision-making and processing. But it makes sense to play Queta ahead of Kornet regardless, and that's what's been the case, 2 games in a row now? Or did he also start in the second Charlotte game? I don't remember now.
He definitely started in one of the Charlotte games. I believe it was the second one. Or did he? No, he started over Al in the first game when Al sat.
Okay.
And then I think we went double big with Al and Queta as well.
The next game? Okay.
Yeah, because there were Al Queta jokes going.
Well, I made the Al Queta joke before the Hawks game. I know that for sure. I'm 100% sure he was started that one. But yeah, man, you just got to see what you got. Like he's going to get better if you play him. Like,
he's signed through 2027 as well on a minimum deal. He's only 25 years old. And if he can just get a little bit more efficient around the rim, and like, stop me if I'm asking for too much, a little bit more efficient around the rim.
That's the big one.
Just a slight uptick in decision making out of that short roll, because he caught a couple of hot potatoes tonight where he's like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this thing. Why do I have the ball here? Like, throw a lob for me. And we'll get to the lobs in a second because we need to calibrate our lob attempts at Queta. But yeah, the decision making and the reaction time needs work. But, not long ago, he was our 4th string center who was a 2-way last year and barely made a guaranteed deal on the team. And suddenly he's like a key rotation piece. And, people were saying online, if we didn't sub him out at that point in the 4th quarter, which is like the non-Queta minutes, this is a factual sentence. The non-Queta minutes is when the Warriors surged back and took a hold of this game. That is a fact, which is completely insane to say out loud, but it's what happened. If we leave him in, well, what happens in this one? But they were saying on the call in the game, like, he looks completely gassed, like he needs to sit down.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm not. I don't think there was a right or wrong call. I think that the Warriors kind of had it. I don't know those bounces. Whether or not you should have just kept him in. I'm not even like nitpicking that type of decision. Like it's fine one way or another. But the fact that it is a conversation is absurd. And for us to be having that, if you would have told me that before the season, that we would have been like, should we have closed with Queta against the Warriors? I would have been like, what happened to our team?
Yeah.
But alas, it's a good thing. So the quick processing on the short roll would be great if he could get a little bit better in that. I think that will come at least a tiny bit. Can he work on the scoring around the basket? Can he just become a little bit more efficient around there? Because that's the big one. Like, he ends up 6 for 11 tonight, 54%, and that's just really bad for someone shooting around the restricted area. It's not rocket science. He's doing this hook shot thing, which we've covered. He does not make the hook shot enough. I actually don't even think he's made any of them, honestly.
He made one, I think, late in the game. It may not have been a hook shot, but it was in the same. Yeah. It was the same distance from the hoop where he's normally missing all of those looks. It might have been like a little push shot, but he actually hit it. Yes. I was like, there we go. He's learning on the fly. This is great.
I agree. So I don't think it was a hook shot. I think it was a bit different. So it's like, he needs to figure out what the go-to thing is. And I'm not sure the hook shot is, because that's a hard shot, man. And you're not really utilizing the fact that he's bigger than anybody. Like, obviously Kareem mastered it. But the hook shot's kind of a move to go to when you're trying to get around shot blockers, where no one's going to blocking. I think you should start get into the pump fakes. Get into the pump fakes. I think that would be a nice development, because everyone's going to be jumping with this guy once he gets an offensive rebound, and then that can just settle him down, get off 2 feet, and then move towards the basket at least. I think that would be a good way. Whatever it is, I'm sure they're going to be working on it. The coaching staff's going to be all over this shit, and the reps. But because right now, I mean, I think he's probably shooting below 60% in the restricted area, which is very, very bad for a center and someone that's 6'1". But it's okay. These are baby steps, I believe.
Yeah, you got to get that orange ball through the hoop thing. It's very, very important. And he does have one very effective method of doing just that. Let's check out this highlight.
Suffocating defense have not turned it over. Queta once again.
Right on Looney's fucking head. That was spicy. That's
another method. Just launch yourself at the rim, dude. There aren't going to be a lot of guys out there that are bigger than you. That's the one thing that just absolutely jumps off the screen every time he's out there, is that he is huge and the athleticism is real. You talked about the lobs. So they're definitely, I actually think that they should continue throwing these lobs at him. He's got to be ready. I think that's actually part of it, is that he doesn't understand, and I thought he started to get that later into the game here, where he's like, I'm now acting as if a lob is coming to me every single time it comes in the short roll. So I think that's a part of it too. He does not have the coordination that Robert Williams had. That's just freaky shit. But I do think that we should continue to throw a ton of these lobs at him, because, again, he's going to continue to get better at it. And it's he can fly, man. He can fly. He's got this crazy wingspan, and it's a really great source of offense when we're really good at getting into the short roll here. And he's obviously not a spacer from the 3-point line. You force the big to come up and take Drew Holiday. Just throw that thing at the top of the backboard and go up and get it. Just be ready for it.
It's so good because KP will come back. He won't play back-to-backs. Al Horford will continue to not play back-to-backs. But when fully healthy and in the postseason, what does it look like? It's KP obviously starting, Al off the bench, and then we've got some versions similar to this of Neemias Queta as the third big, and then Kornet in certain spots as well. The big rotation when healthy is really starting to come to fruition. Got some Warriors fans in the chat. Yeah. Shout out Warriors fans. I respect the Dubs. I like the Warriors. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Gary Phipps, thank you for joining us. We respect the Warriors. Your comment, you forgot the Warriors destroyed the Celtics on your home floor to win the championship. You obviously missed earlier in the show when I alluded to this, felt very similar to that. Don't get too big for your boots though, all right? We did. Firstly hit the like button, and then don't get too big for your boots. No Jaylen Brown, no Kristaps Porzingis. Kind of missing two of our best players. So Just settle down and let's see if old man Steph Curry and old man Draymond Green can play well into April and May. We're in the first week of November here. The old players typically look pretty good at the beginning of the season. Let's see if they can handle the war of attrition that is the NBA and is the NBA playoffs. So just relax. Congratulations on the win. Long way to go.
It's a sound point, a valid point. But I really like watching the Warriors play, even as it was happening to us and the off-ball actions they run and Curry's, not saying anything new here, but his creativity of like how he chooses to utilize a screen is just so fun to watch. It's made me want to watch, as a plane flies over my head, more Warriors games. They play the Cavs next, I believe, which could be that could be a go Warriors game because we need the Cavs to kind of lose. And another big test for the Warriors. So shout out the Warriors fans. Hang out, just hit that like button, help us out, and then hang out.
I will say, I guarantee the Warriors were up for this game in a way that they won't be for other games.
That's fair.
Between the Steve Kerr stuff, between the Celtics destroying them by 50 points in Boston last year, the Celtics are the defending champs. This is kind of what happened. So Cleveland's going to get the good thing is Cleveland is undefeated, obviously. So, like you would think that the Warriors would be up for that one as well. But there's obviously a different level of juice when we're talking about the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors versus like the Donovan Mitchell, Garland, Cavs and the Warriors. There's different level of juice. Alas, I will definitely be going for the Warriors in that game. Kind of a win-win though, because like if the Warriors win that game, then the narrative stuff really starts picking up. But on the flip side, if the Cavs beat the Warriors, and it's like the Cavs beat the Warriors, the Celtics couldn't even beat the Warriors. Yeah. No, everyone will exclude the fact that Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis weren't playing, and away the narratives will go. So definitely go Warriors.
Yeah, and I just don't care about the narrative for the Warriors heating up because, like you said, they are old and they've got a lot of ball left before the playoffs. And really, anything that happens in the West doesn't concern me that much until we get to the finals. There's a quote from Steve Kerr after the game. His message, I don't know if you've seen this, his message to the team, quote, "I just told them in our meeting this morning, let's make America great again and beat the Celtics." Yeah, fuck you, Steve Kerr. Fuck you all the way to Cleveland. Anyway, other
Derrick
directions to take the show in. Yeah, Derrick White.
Derrick White. Man, just a normal room at the Hilton tonight. Like I know it was a loss,
standard,
but definitely not the presidential suite. That's because of the loss, not because of Derrick White. Two things. One, Derrick White is incredible. His shooting ability is out of this world. 7 for 16 tonight, 43% on just like obviously insane volume. And you just like you had to, and he understood the assignment where it's like, and he does know. I feel like he has a good sense for like we need to get shots up, and like in the first half the turnovers killed us, not because we gave up I think 16 points off turnovers in the first half, but as we know, this is not rocket science. When you turn the ball over, not only does that give the opposition an easy opportunity to score, you don't even get a shot up. I don't care if it's a last second heave against the shot clock. Even if it's a 4% chance of that shot going in, it's an infinitely bigger percentage than zero. And so you have to get shots on goal. And Derrick White absolutely understood the assignment when it came to that today. He was awesome. I mean, 26.6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, only 1 turnover. Like for him to only have 1 turnover when the Warriors are really giving us trouble, like just speaks to his level of poise and his level of decision making. I will say on the flip side, you kind of see the limitations as Derrick White as like one of your lead ball handlers, because or like just without that extra pop with Jaylen, because he's not an explosive athlete and he's not that capable of creating advantages just like one-on-one. And I thought you saw that a little bit tonight as well.
Yeah, when they were trapping him at half court in those initial non-Tatum minutes where it's like, okay, it's the Derrick White show. We've talked about it. There's basically 3 players that Joe entrusts running a lineup, and one of them, and Jaylen Brown, is out. The other 2 are Jayson Tatum and Derrick White. In those initial non-Tatum minutes, Derrick White being trapped at half court, that was really problematic for him, and he didn't have the sort of necessary escape dribble moves or whatever it requires to unstick yourself in those moments, or just the height to pass out of the trap, which is what Tatum has over him, among many other things. But where Derrick was really good was in the fourth quarter. I think initially we had some non-Tatum minutes there, and Derrick did a much better job running the show there and actually hit like a really fucking big balls shot dribble penetration, pull up two to go up a few points late in the game. And that was a really important no Tatum shot where we were floundering a little bit. We're sort of looking at the shot clock thinking, when's Jayson Tatum going to come back in? And Derrick, I think, extended it to a 2-possession game with that shot. So that was like all-star caliber-ish, running the show, scoring big buckets against what is the second best defense in the league right now. So definitely some awesome moments for Derrick in this one.
Yeah, D. White was awesome. 8 points in the fourth quarter, 3 for 6, 2 for 5 from 3, 2 assists. That is where his one turnover came in. The plus-minus numbers in the fourth quarter, it's very apparent that things did not go well in the last 7 minutes.
No.
But like, just like a side tangent that's, Derrick White related, is the future of this team, as far as we're able to project, is like Tatum, Jaylen, and Derrick. That's like going to be the future of the big three. And the Tatum, Derrick 2-man game looks a lot better when it also includes Jaylen Brown on the court at the same time. And so, I thought it was just kind of cool, like seeing the vision. And again, like sometimes you're an injury away from just improving your team long term. And that's true for getting Derrick more on-ball reps. It's true for Neemias Queta. And it's true for Jayson Tatum to have to play tonight without Jaylen and without KP. Like, he really had to deal with a ton tonight, and as all these guys did. So just all wrapped up in the idea that this is like a good loss and a really positive learning experience, I think, for their quest to repeat the championship.
For sure. 7-2, and like nipping at our heels there are the 4-4 Indiana Pacers and Brooklyn Nets as well. So it's 7-2. It looks less than perfect, obviously, because it's not, but also because the Cavs are themselves perfect. So if it wasn't for these pesky Cavs, I think 7-2 is great. But yeah, Joe was talking about Jaylen Brown's like hip pointer injury or hip flexor injury before the game. He doesn't sound particularly concerned about it. Not that Joe is ever particularly descriptive when he's talking about player injuries or player sort of off the court activity, but he didn't seem concerned about it at all. With what Jaylen Brown has said about it, same sort of thing. Like, it just requires a bit of rest to get back in the flow there and to let some of that pain ease up. But doesn't sound like it's something that we need to be concerned about long term with Jaylen Brown, which is good.
No, it's an injury. I still wouldn't expect to see him for a little while, though.
Sure,
like,
okay.
I would say we got the Nets and we got the Bucks. Obviously, a day off between each one. And I forget who we have after that. That might be my... Is it the Cavs after that?
I think it's the Hawks, then the Cavs.
Yeah, my prediction is that he comes back, he misses 2 more games, and then he's back. That's essentially 1 more week off. And like... So that would essentially make it 2 weeks, I think. And that's a normal amount of time for like a grade 1 muscle strain.
Sure.
And so that's my prediction would be the Hawks game. It's possible he pushes to come back for the Bucks game. But I just don't think that they're going to let him push to come back. They're going to enforce the rules upon him this time.
We've got Nets, Bucks, Hawks, Nets, Raptors, Cavs. So prior to that Cavs game, you've got a nice little cushion.
Correct.
And now I think we can safely include the Bucks in that, where you can kind of probably not coast, but get by without Jaylen Brown.
They're going to be so desperate every night, though. That's going to be, I guarantee you that'll be a closer game. Well,
yeah,
who knows?
That's probably fair.
Especially if Jaylen's still out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, a nice little cushy, maybe outside of that Bucks game schedule up ahead where Jaylen can chill a little bit and heal, hopefully. I know you've got some Schadenfreude stuff you want to get to. I'm just looking down the box score and some of the post-game comments. There's not that much more to get to.
Drew Holiday, kind of not playing awesome, I would say broadly at the moment, but this was like exactly what happened last year as well. Kind of worked his way into the season, similar to the playoffs. Not worried about it. The part that he has been doing really well has just been insane shooting the ball. It was like very jarring to see him miss all those shots tonight. Like, he's just hit so many big shots, and for him to go 0 for 6 is real bummer because we needed him, and it's just, we're just used to him like literally not missing shots. And that he did end up with 9 rebounds and 8 assists, and he was like very much a catalyst in that period where we were just getting to every loose ball and getting to those offensive rebounds. So I don't want to say he was like bad tonight, but just Like there was the play where he got the offensive rebound and he's like dribbling and Gary Payton was able to steal it back, which was a great play from Gary Payton. Just like he just wasn't really crisp. And I thought that was kind of jumped off the screen for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And like in the absence of Jaylen Brown, like you do need some additional scoring production. And Drew, with his reliance, the reliance we have on him from beyond the arc is important, obviously. And no points from beyond the arc from Drew is damaging in a game like this where the defense is so locked in. From the Warriors' perspective as well, Peyton Pritchard, 3 of 11 from beyond the arc, like not really getting the scoring punch. Although with some lucky free throws at the end, he did manage to get beyond his line of 15.5 for 16 points, which was great for me personally, financially speaking. But yeah, not the efficiency that we've grown used to with Peyton Pritchard. So those guys will bounce back, particularly Drew. Like you said, we're not worried. Like the closer we get to important games, important games in a vacuum throughout the regular season, and certainly towards the postseason, like I'm not really worried about Drew at all. In fact, sticking with the copium stuff, 32 minutes, like not that much of a strenuous game for Drew.
Yeah.
You're kind of thinking this is good just from a Drew preservation standpoint.
Yeah, we also kept Horford below 30 just by 10 seconds, which is nice. And yes, and we also hit the Horford over 5.5 rebounds tonight. So
Huge day for the boys.
Huge day for the fellas, which we love to see. Jordan Walsh, more minutes, 8 more minutes tonight. He's like just obviously Jaylen being out. I don't think he would have played tonight. I think in these types of games, like the bigger games, he's probably not going to play. But I thought he played some good defense. He drew an offensive rebound. I got mad at it in the moment. Tatum had this sick move. He came off a Queta screen, I think it was. Lindy Waters was defending. He in and out dribbled. Looney just cooked him. And then the help from the corner had to cut Tatum off. Tatum kicked it to Walsh in the corner. And I think I'm so used to like Derrick and Drew, Hauser and Pritchard, where their triggers are like, these are all elite shooters and they all have like crazy triggers. And I like watching it back. Walsh like actually did a really good job. He kind of like pump faked, took a dribble, and then like passed it right back to Tatum, who hit a pull up 3. And it was actually kind of, I thought he showed pretty nice poise because he kind of needs to shoot the wide open ones. I think I'm not sure he's actually capable of shooting like these quick trigger, tight in the corner ones. Like it obviously worked out because Tatum hit that 3, but in that it was like I actually liked it a lot more. Showed some nice poise in that moment.
Yeah, 0 attempts from the floor. It's an exercise in elite shot selection and poise. That's the angle I'm deciding to go with Walshy. Yeah, plus 6 without any scoring, just impacting the game everywhere else. Love to see it. What a performance from Walshy. Hauser 2 of 5 from 3. Like he looks to be very gradually sort of recalibrating the shot. He had one that I've clipped for underrated plays where he popped out of I think it was a Kornet down screen in a sort of Spain pick and roll action. And just immediately caught, turned, and just popped the 3, which was good to see because it's those quick looks where he just kind of springs from like a mess of bodies and just emerges and hits a 3 that we love about Sammy Buckets. And so it's good to see just a little bit more of that tonight. But yeah, look, as far as the team and other individual performances, I think we've pretty well hit on everything. I know you've got some Schadenfreude you want to run us through, Jake, before we wrap up tonight.
Yeah, it's actually turned into a big night from a Schadenfreude perspective. The Sixers are currently down 17 with 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in the Paul George revenge game, I guess you could call it, which is fantastic because, James Harden also doesn't look like he had a good game, but alas, my boy Ivica Zubac carrying my fantasy team played well. So Sixers are going to fall to 1 in a million now. Like that's another, you hate to see it, Ben. Yeah.
It makes me so happy, man.
I
can't even put it into words how happy
so
it makes
good.
me.
So they obviously go down. The Knicks lost to the Hawks and had some of their own disaster clutch time fourth quarter performances. And there were a bunch of Knicks fans at the game and booing Trae Young. I'm guessing there was a fuck Trae Young chant, multiple, I'm guessing. And Trae Young got on the mic afterwards and was just like, "Oh, y'all New York fans, take your ass home." And they're like booing. It was awesome. It was awesome. So that was fantastic. The Heat, I've got the video of the Heat one here. So the Heat were playing Phoenix tonight. Heat down 3, inbound, Jimmy Butler inbounding the ball. Need a 3, like 12 seconds to go. Oh, actually, we can talk through it. So Jimmy Butler inbounds it to Rozier. For some reason, Jimmy like cuts into the middle, then realizes he has to dribble back, and then doesn't even shoot it, and then throws a hand. Oh, do you want to see it again?
No, I saw it. I just can't believe my eyes. That's insane. What are you doing, Jimmy?
It was awful. It was like just a disaster. Like, I don't know why he floated into the mid-range. He should have clearly been camped there, and then he's like kind of forgot, and then he had to shoot it, but he throws a grenade to Tyler Hero where the clock has run out, and now the Heat, I believe, drop to below 500 and still to have a good win on their resume to start the season.
Tough news for the Heat and the Sixers. I can't believe the Sixers are going to lose yet another game, but like they do have a bit of a tough schedule out there west, and Embiid at least out for the next few games. It sounds like he's going to make his return against the Knicks for the in-season tournament game, I believe. So that'll be interesting to track, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose all of their games prior to that. And Eric Spoelstra just like not being properly organized with an out of timeout play late in a game is very surprising, but you love to see a bed shitting from any of these bastard Schadenfreude teams, especially the Heat and the Sixers. So love to see it. You know how the NBA in the offseason, they implemented a new stat called dunk score? Just seen here, the Neemi dunk got a dunk score of 99.8. The one that we ran. And then it goes into like scores for various mini attributes like jump and power and style and contest and stuff like that. So I'll chuck it in our Discord afterwards. But 99.8, you love to see it dunk score wise.
That's awesome. Neemi. I have one more clip here, and I know you probably are torn on this one. This can kind of go either way, but the Thunder are, clearly one of the contenders. The Nuggets took down the Thunder today without Aaron Gordon, and the Thunder have been insane to start the season. They've had a cupcake schedule, and so interesting to see them lose tonight. But SGA in the clutch here gets mashed up with Russell Westbrook, goes left, tries to finish over the top of Peyton Watson, gets blocked at the rim. Game over. Thunder lose to a hobbled, struggling Denver Nuggets team, which I was not expecting to see. And so obviously, the Denver Cup, your friend Dice, I'm sure, is going to be very excited about this one.
He needs some joy in his life, I think, as a Nuggets fan. So this is good. I'm for it because you want to see those high flyers in either conference fail. And, like you said, the Thunder have had a pretty easy schedule so far. They have won the majority of their games. So to see them knock down a peg.
That's a big narrative game because I've heard of huge. Thunder, that's like people hate the Celtics and they're like praying that they don't win the title again. Like the Thunder have been the team that they can at least credibly say, I'm picking these guys to win the title because I think on paper I think it's fair to make the argument that they could do it. At least I wouldn't pick it. I think the Celtics are clearly better, more experienced. We don't have to go into the whole thing right now, but to see them lose, if you flip this to the Celtics of last year and how any time they lost was as if they had lost 5 games. If the Celtics had lost to the Denver Nuggets without Aaron Gordon and this version of the Nuggets that have been really struggling in the clutch, this would have been a story. I just want to see if there's anything else I can pull out of the box score here. Because is Jamal Murray also out? And no, Jamal Murray did.
Really? I thought he played.
No, he did not.
Wow.
Michael Porter, Peyton.
Jamal Murray.
Yeah. Christian Brown, Russell Westbrook, Peyton Watson, Michael Porter Jr. as your starters, with Julian Strother, Hunter Tyson, and Zeke Naji off the bench, and the Thunder go down. So that would be if we're using Celtics media brain, that would be 10 losses.
Pretenders as well, not real title contenders. They're not ready. They're not ready if they can't take these teams seriously with important players out. So great Schadenfreude report there, Jake. I love to see it. We were all in on the therapy. Yeah, we're all in. I was feeling better 10 minutes into the show, and then we end with some spicy cherry on the Sunday Schadenfreude, and I'm sleeping well tonight. So look, no pod tomorrow. We did put a Patreon pod out yesterday, as well as a player deep dive on Peyton Pritchard as well. I put out production diaries on how to regenerate one of our more popular Twitter memes recently. So sign up to the Patreon if you haven't already. Check all that content out. Jake, any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, no, get into the Patreon, man. The deep dive we did on Peyton Pritchard was really good. It's our first go at it, but essentially it's just us breaking down a ton of stats on Pritchard, ton of film, and yeah, it was really fun. So it's 20, 25 minutes. Would highly recommend the Patreon, especially for like the deep dives and the extra podcasts, obviously.
Yeah, Discord access as well. We're nearing 300 members in the Discord, and that place is just absolutely cooking now. We've got like various stats channels where we've got, I guess, like statisticians and mathematicians in there cooking all day, cooking up various stats and creating like custom views, various diagrams, and like explaining them as well, which is a step that a lot of other people like don't bother to take, which is great. We've got content recommendation channels, obviously game threads and channels as well.
Sam LaFrance just joined.
That's true. Yeah,
posting stuff
huge.
in there.
What a get for the Discord.
Yes, in the Discord, Sam LaFrance, like right after the game, because Sam was at the game today, was like, I had to take a piss like after the game. I could hear the Warriors celebrating, and it made me so mad. And it's awesome. So that's the kind of stuff you're going to get in the Discord. It's good stuff.
And he pissed next to an important media member as well, who I will not name. But yeah, very good stuff. So sign up to the Patreon, join the Discord, check out all the exclusive content, hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time.